Hello kids. Let's have some fun today with oil pans and oil pan learning. This is going to be part of a later video about this weird problem on this particular oil pan, but it's a good time. I mean, oil pans are stuff that you can do yourself quite easily. There ain't much to it. Here's one. Just a pan. I'm going to show you some interesting details about it. I've already started cleaning this one off. These are gasketed from the factory with RTV, which Chrysler calls 3-bond, but it's just black RTV like you'd find at the parts store under the Promasters brand. It is applied by robot, and I have already started scraping off the old because something to know about oil pans is that Velcro does make a gasket, and this is says for a Chrysler 3.6. Hopefully that's the right part number. Sure looks right. Is it right? Yeah, it's right. Go on like that. Let's just assume it's right. If not, I assure you they make it. The preferable about using a gasket, if you have to take yours off for some reason, would be that it's going to come off cleanly and easily, and you're not going to have to dick around with RTV, which is messy and stinky. And the way this stuff works, this would also be true for the transmission pan and actually almost every gasketed surfaces. There aren't that many factory gaskets on the Promaster. It's mostly robot applied RTV, is that you put the 3-bond on, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then torque it down. So it has kind of a two-stage thing. And they're actually quite super robust. We don't have any real leaks with the RTV, but it's just messy and the shit gets on your hands. A gasket's cleaner and better. And plus, the fine people at Velcro need to go to work and do something to make these goddamn gaskets. So anyway, I want to show you something that I've shown you before on the oil extraction video, but this is, I don't know if it's important, but it's quasi-important. There's a phone call I'm not going to answer. That this is the bottom of your pan, and there's your drain plug, and this would be a good example of why oil extraction is better than draining from the plug. When I take that plug out, there's a good, I mean, that is over a ½ an inch between the tip of the plug and the bottom of the pan, and that's a ½ an inch of oil that more or less stays in the pan. I mean, yes, it's shaped such that it is just this section, but if you're anal retentive and you want to get all the oil out, you need to be sucking it out through the dipstick tube as opposed to draining it from the pan, because you'll leave a lot in. Not that it matters. None of those things matter. All the crap that's below there is stuff that lives at the bottom of the pan, and assuming you don't disturb it, it's going to stay in the bottom of the pan forever. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to wipe this off. I'm going to get rid of all the old RTV on the flange with this, but you could use anything. You could use a piece of sandpaper. You could use a scraper. It doesn't really matter because the gasket will conform. And there you go. What do you got? About a dozen bolts? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 bolts around the pan. Ain't rocket science, stamped steel pan. These do tend to rust. This one is from a 2014, so it's over 10 years old. And you can see it's got a little bit of scale on it. And we saw one Pentastar in a non-Promaster vehicle. This was a 2011 Durango that actually the pan rusted enough to leak. So it's just something to look at. You'll know, because you'll have a puddle under it and you'll see oil dripping out of it. All right, let's go under the van. All right, this is what it looks like with the pan off. Ring of bolts around there. I'm not gonna bust out a grinder and sand the flange at the bottom of the lower oil pan. This will be clean enough, but I'll run a scraper over it. But as you can see how this works, I'll try to get my head out of the light, or the light out of my head. This is the oil pickup. This is the oil pump. That sits down there. This here, I show you. That is the tip of your dipstick sticking out, is where it is. And you can see that the level of the oil is above the pan, the lower pan. And when you extract, you go a couple more inches down into that area, whatever. This is your bottom of your windage tray, which covers the bottom of the crank. And what it does is it prevents, or tries to prevent, the bottom of the crank from frothing the oil, from spinning in the oil. It tries to keep oil separated between the sump, the level of the oil, and the spinny bits, because you'll turn the oil into a froth, and froth the oil doesn't pump and it doesn't lubricate because it's mostly air. What else is there to know? That's pretty much it. There's nothing that obstructs the bottom of the pan as you're down here, so if you need to get it off, it's not like you got to pull the exhaust or do anything funky. And it just comes off and so on. You know, I don't know why you need to go in your pan, but you may. Who the hell knows? Actually, you know what? A common reason you would have to go into the pan is because you've stripped the drain bolt because you're not extracting from the top like a good citizen should. Is there anything else to know about oil pan technology while we're here? I kind of don't think so. 2 of the fasteners are studs and the rest are bolts. I use these plastic totes from Menards. They're like 11 bucks and they're great. They got little wheels on them, they got lids, and they're much bigger than a regular drain pan because you'll make a frickin' mess. You'll take a bath in this stuff, I guarantee it. What else is there to know? Not much. I'll post the torque spec on the screen of what these bolts are, but it doesn't really matter. They're just snug. You're just preventing a leak. You don't have to overthink this. And God forbid if you snap one of these, actually, if you were to snap a bolt on reinsertion, wouldn't really matter because with so many bolts ringing around it, it's not going to leak. And of course, if you are using RTV or 3-bond, you could go without bolts. All the bolts really do is allow you to tighten up and make the gasket cure. But once the gasket is cured, I assure you, I had to pound this thing out with the various screwdrivers and get a wedge in there and so on. There's kind of an area in this back corner. Is it here? I believe it's here, where you can actually get a screwdriver in and pry it against the lower pan better than you can here without bending up the pan. But it is bonded on there, and it is not coming off even if every bolt fell out. This is part of the overkill of automotive. All right, well, we've learned a goddamn lot. I'll see you in the next one.
Down all night, you at the scene. They all did agree that the man who ran the daylight like me. The judge said, son, what is your